Everybody is swiping on social media. It doesn't matter who you are or
Right.
where you are.
Yeah.
You can have the president of the United States. It's for sure. Everybody's swiping. The switch is like traditionally there was no, I guess, ad spend allocated outside of maybe bringing small like mommy blogger influencers to the park to reaching people where they are. And today it's swiping on their feed. Sometimes it is riding up to 10 times, running up and down a slide tower. I'll review it. And I'll be like, oh, wait, maybe this angle would look better or this. Michael Bailey, the CEO, was in a meeting and that they had proposed to him some slide designs and that he was like, would Alex ride these? They were like, well, let's ask him. And so that's when I got brought into the project.
You're listening to Signal, the podcast for attraction leaders shaping the future of guest experiences. This is Signal.
Today, we're joined by Alex Ojeda. Alex represents something completely new in the industry. He's not just a content creator. He creates content that doesn't just get views. It drives guests to buy tickets and visit attractions. His story started back in 2018 when he helped his grandmother amass more than 100,000 followers on Instagram, doing, of all things, playing Fortnite. You heard that right, his grandmother playing Fortnite. But what's really cool about Alex's story is not that he went viral, but that he evolved from content creator to strategic consultant, working with household brands like Royal Caribbean, where he's helping them design their new Perfect Day Mexico water park. Go figure that, a content creator helping design a water park. With over 2 billion views across 14 million followers, the attractions that he works with not just see increases in followers, but also real-world results. Recognized among Time's 2025 Top 100 Creators list, Alex is positioned as an industry expert, and rightfully so. And more importantly, he gives back to the industry by speaking at IAPA and the World Waterpark Association. What makes his perspective so meaningful to tour and attractions operators is that he combines authenticity with professional production to drive results. Alex, we're excited to have you on Signal. Let's dive in, pun intended, and learn how you mastered the art of turning content into clicks, but the kind that count, turnstile clicks.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Welcome here. So let's dive in. Alex, you started by helping your grandmother build a massive following playing Fortnite. And now you're consulting for major attractions like Royal Caribbean on water park design. That's not a typical career path at all. So what was the moment you realized this wasn't just about making viral videos anymore?
Ooh, so I would say when I first started, it was just about making viral videos and having fun and just messing around and trying to break the internet, quote unquote, which is kind of what we did at the time with Grandma. But I would say once I started building my own personal brand and started creating my personal content and pivoted into having an actual niche and getting away from just like trying to make stuff that was just viral and had no, I guess, value or purpose outside of entertainment, I would say that's when that shift happened.
Did you end up learning how to play, do you play Fortnite as well? Or was this like just a thing that you tried with your grandma?
Yeah, honestly, at the time, my siblings were playing a ton and my grandma had just moved in with us. So I just randomly at the time saw a bunch of meme pages of throwing memes up and then also people posting Fortnite content. And so I was like, let me put the two together. Let me get my grandma's face and make it look like she's the one playing. Did it together and then just posted it on Instagram. And overnight, it was like 200,000 views. And then we just quickly learned, we kept making more content and all of those pages that I was actually following and so fascinated by actually took the videos and reshared them. So it was kind of like this big virality overstrike. Then that, went from Instagram over to TikTok. It was like another overnight virality. And then I built my personal brand by creating my own channels as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. You definitely built your own brand. You're on Time's 2025 Top 100 Creators list, but you've also evolved into strategic business consulting. How do you balance authentic content creation with the business demands of enterprise clients? What's that transition been like?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, from the content I create now in the industry, I'm so passionate about two things, right? And that's creating content. That's what I love doing. I love putting a piece of content together and seeing it, how it performs and the creation and all aspects of that. But then I also have a huge passion for the attractions, the water parks, the tourism, travel, cruise ships, all of that. And so really what it is I want to immerse myself more into those spaces. And so while I enjoy creating and my personal brand is always going to be a thing, opportunities just from having those two passions and being so good at creating content just arise from the parks I was working with personally. and some mentors, they were just like, hey, can you come help us with our social media presence? And so it started with just one park in upstate New York last summer. And we did such a great job that it was just like through word of mouth, hey, we saw what incredible stuff you did there. Can you come help us? And so I just found I love being a part of the industry more and more. And so as an influencer, right, I may go to a park for a day and create content. And as much as I love that, the consulting side allows me to be immersed in it more and also allow my, I guess, talents and content creation skills to be leveraged more than just as an influencer.
Yeah. So, I mean, you and I chatted about this a little bit off camera. So it looks easy what you do on the surface of the cameras. What you're doing looks easy. You got like such an energy when you're on screen, so forth and so on. It makes it feel like it's a bit of a party, but the reality is it's a ton of hard work behind the scenes. So making content is one thing. Imagining the right content to make is another thing. How do you keep yourself motivated in all of that? Because it is, I did content like a long time ago, but I did content creation as well for a while professionally, and it's a lot of work. What keeps you kind of going and motivated? Because everyone probably thinks you're partying all the time, and that's not at all what's happening.
Yeah, I guess like everything I do is driven by my family story and like inspiring other people to do the same thing. So in like 2012, my parents were in school with 3 kids. They had just come over from Mexico.
Yeah.
And in 2012, my dad started working and he won a $5,000 raffle for a cruise. And as you can imagine, having 3 kids and being in both parents in school, it's hard to do vacations like that. And so when my dad won that cruise, it was like our first kind of shared family experience. And they saw how much fun we had. And for them, it was like a switch in their head. Like, hey, we got to work really hard to continue to provide these experiences for us. And so it was a big staple in my family to, we ended up doing like 14 cruise vacations, and we would always go to water parks, different excursions, theme parks. And that was like our thing to do as a family.
Yeah.
And so whenever I'm creating, it's kind of like, and I was looking to shift into what my niche was and why I wanted to do what I do. It was all driven by like inspiring other families to have that same experience.
To do that thing.
And so I just know, like, regardless, even the days that, it is super hard or I feel burnt out doing the more tedious work, things like that, I guess what keeps me going is knowing that like my work has a purpose greater than myself. And so I know that like, hey, by going the extra mile, by, grinding 24/7, making content and never turning that kind of content switch off, I know that I'm impacting others. They're watching my content and they're going out and experiencing these destinations, whether it is just like a day at a water park or it is going on a cruise vacation or traveling across the world to experience these crazy things. I guess I always have that bigger vision. So it kind of like keeps me going, where I know like, maybe if I was a little more selfish, then I would get burnt out and maybe feel it a lot more. But I think like that kind of like my family's beginnings kind of like is what drives me, because I know other people are having those similar experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sounds like you've been very fortunate. Sounds like you have a very close family. At least it sounds like, you say that's been a kind of a motivator for you to help other families kind of have that same experience? That's cool.
I mean, I think 100%. We're very, I come from a Mexican family. And so I was also born in Mexico, and we have a big family that everybody's so, I guess loving, and we're very tight, and so we all want to see each other succeed. And so the story is really like, I think my dad had started working at Burlington here, when he came to America, and now he's very successful in what he did. And it was all driven by wanting to give us more experiences and he wanted to work hard so we could go enjoy these things. And so for seeing that kind of journey in my parents, like it's inspirational to like go and try to give other people that experience where they have fun with their families or friends, and then it motivates them to go do something bigger and kind of grow and experience things for their families.
That's really inspirational. And also like, there's not a lot of families, I think, out there that have that level of connection, maybe, or is maybe not as common as it used to be. And that's really inspirational what you're doing there. From a strategic standpoint, how has your consulting model changed how attractions approach their marketing budgets? And are you seeing like a shift from traditional marketing spend into more of a creator partnership kind of scenario?
1,000%. I think what the biggest change is like in today's world, everybody, no matter who you are, whether you're the most busy person, and even if let's take a water park, right? You have your water park GM who's crazy busy 24/7 running around, running this park. Even that person, all the way down to the lifeguard or to the guest, everybody is swiping on social media. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are. Yeah. You can have the president of the United States, is for sure everybody's swiping. And so
we know he's swiping.
The switch is like, traditionally there was no, I guess, ad spend allocated outside of maybe bringing small like mommy blogger influencers to the park to reaching people where they are. And today it's swiping on their feeds. And so I think now the kind of switch is like, okay, we're noticing everybody's on their phone. So that's where our guests are. And so we want to now invest in, getting someone, maybe it's hiring a social media manager or a coordinator or someone to create content for our channels, right? And so that's a big jump because these parks or attractions have been operating for so long and they don't necessarily know how to navigate that in a way to kind of take advantage of the algorithms. Because if you do it in a correct way, you create good content, you do things right, it will reach the people's phones. If you do it incorrectly and you create non-engaging content and low performing content, it won't reach those people. And so I think what my kind of consulting has done is it's kind of let people switch to be kind of social first and get on people's phone screens and doing it in the most effective way possible and making sure that every piece of content that goes out for these attractions is actually optimized to take advantage of the organic reach that these platforms do. And it's honestly very simple. It's just we're creating the best piece of content possible, making sure it checks all the boxes, and then it's going live and then performing well because since it's good content and we already have guests that are fans of these attractions, these guests engage with it, good content with engagement, and then explodes, and then we're able to kind of reach that. But it's kind of like flipped it, and now that everybody's going into social first, this allows them to kind of like take advantage of social at the highest level.
Yeah, and I like how you say it's very simple. That's a very humble thing to say. The reality is that it's complex and changing all the time. And you've spent a lot of hours figuring that process out and continue to figure that process out as algorithms change. So, I mean, really cool. There's this kind of famous story that you've probably been asked 1,000 times now, that you tend to ride water slides, 10 times to get the perfect shot. And I was watching a few of your water slide videos. And I mean, if you look closely and you're looking at the cuts, you're like, okay, yeah, no, that's definitely a different cut, things like that. But it's really seamless. It's really time intensive. I think there was is it Norway? The one that does it's the fastest water slide that goes and you drop into the center on like the big spiral or whatever. And at the last one, I see you're wearing a shirt and I'm thinking to myself, it probably was getting cold. And you were like, or you're starting to get like water slide burn or something like that. Like it's just after a while, it just starts to wear on you. How do you convince a CFO or a GM or things like that to let you basically take over that slide for long enough to get those shots? Because they're probably thinking to themselves, get the shot, get out, burning capital, burning like opportunity. So how do you convince them, like, I haven't got the perfect shot yet?
Yeah, I think we do a lot of pre-planning. So in my personal content, it's like we're scoping out. I kind of have in my head, okay, X amount of attractions at this park are going to make for like kind of social media gold. And then I kind of pre-plan, okay, this is exactly what I'll need. And it just varies per park or per attraction. It's like whether we're coming in before hours, we're doing things during the hours or even after hours, or what process they have done in the past with other shoots that they may have some sort of system in place, but it really just varies. But yeah, sometimes it is riding up to 10 times, running up and down a slide tower, and it does get very time consuming because what it is, it's like, I'll film something, I'll review it, and then I'll be like, oh wait, maybe this angle would look better, or this, or maybe you have a vision for something because beforehand when I'm pre-planning, it maybe looks crazier in person if I do XYZ different angle, maybe flying the drone from a back angle, maybe a different, like you're saying, in that example that you saw, it was actually in the Netherlands. I had taken off my shirt because body slides are faster without a shirt on. So I had ridden the slide with the shirt and I said, wait, I can go way faster without the shirt. So that's going to do better in the content. So there's little things like that we're always like kind of like playing around with and trying to see like, how can we make this look incredible or even more incredible than what it actually is, or bring that experience to life. Because what it is like taking the viewer on the experience. If the viewer feels like all the emotions that you're feeling on the attraction, that's what's going to make the content like actually come to life and invoke that like emotional draw and investment with the viewer.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm gonna finally let Tim say something because apparently I'm just dominating the conversations.
That's okay. It was a good conversation. I was going along with it, but you mentioned something. You mentioned something a while back about hiring a social media manager, and I think that's important. And a lot of attractions are doing that. I see most of them fail because they hire someone who's good at their personal social media. And you've talked a lot about content creation and being strategic about it and really thinking through what that means. So I think about kind of the missteps and that other attractions have done with this. I don't know how many times I've seen an attraction that always has just images of teenagers when it's really a family attraction, right? Because the person who's doing their social media is getting all their friends to come up, and that's the thing that they're in. So from a from the perspective of working with attractions, you're twofold. You're both a consultant and a content creator, right? What do you think attractions get wrong within that space, both doing it themselves and working with creators?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that there shouldn't be any personal preference to anything done on social media. It should all be backed by, how are we making the greatest piece of content possible, and how are we making the content that's going to do two things. One, get people through the door in the attraction space, and two, actually perform and draw eyeballs. Because the way I see it is like, the more eyeballs on these social media channels, the more percentage of people we can try to convert to getting people through the door. And so what happens a lot of time that I see is there's people, they're doing what they think they need to do, or they're just taking what they may know and say, okay, this trend is really fun, I want to do that because it looks fun. Or, hey, this idea, they're doing it for personal reasons, and they're not doing it for, they're doing it more because that's what they like to do and not what actually works for the park. And so a lot of times, like when I'm working with my specific clients, they'll have a coordinator that is maybe a little frustrated by me being like, hey, we need to reshoot this, or hey, we need to do this a different way. But I'm always reiterating, like, hey, this is not for personal preference. This is just what's going to drive the highest engagement possible. And we need to film something this way, or we need to do this specific video because, here's the track record. And we'll always refer back to a piece of content that's similar, or that another park has done, or another creator has done, and said, hey, look, this is the track record. Here's this trend. Here are 10 videos that have done really well recently. Here's how we can integrate it and make it even better than how this person did it. And we're always doing stuff like nothing's personal preference, essentially. And so that's kind of where we see a lot of attractions kind of unfortunately lacking is in those areas, because they do things for personal reasons, not backed by, other content examples and things like that.
Yeah. And I think probably the second piece that I think that we see a lot, at least from an executive standpoint, or like the GM within the park, is social media is so hard to attribute to actual revenue. So you do it to get people in through the turnstiles, into the gate, to eat at the restaurants, to do all these things. But it's really hard to measure, because most of the time you're not purchasing a ticket, or you're not doing certain things like that. Going a little bit off topic here, but how do you get the stakeholders on board to actually allocate funds towards this, that it's difficult to attribute revenue to? And then what type of metrics do you use to really convey that back, to say that we're successful in this? This is really driving the needle, even though there's not a direct attribution to it.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. I think in traditional, or not necessarily traditional, but in the past, parks are used to maybe a third-party marketing company, or a consultant come on and say, hey, we're going to allocate, let's say it's $100,000 in ad spend, and we're going to target these ads to your target market, and we're able to track that X amount of people clicked on our link through this ad and bought the ticket there, and then they can see that direct ROI, right? In organic marketing and in social, where everybody's just swiping, right, it is really difficult to attribute exact, like, hey, this video went viral, it got 1 million views, and out of this 1 million views, X amount of viewership went and actually purchased a ticket. It's almost nearly impossible. There are ways that, like, for example, at some of my specific clients, what we'll do is, like, they have specific events, right? And we'll say, okay, the first time they hosted this event, we saw like 50 season pass showed up for it. Then we posted this video promoting the event, and it did 800,000 views. And the next time the event came on, 850 season pass showed up. And, there was nothing else done differently besides that one viral video did really well. So there's small cases like that where we can attribute to success, or other things that, we can attribute is, like, a lot of these parks and attractions, they have problems with staffing, right? Getting lifeguards, getting people to man the attraction. And they're always short staffed. And so having these incredible videos, what it does is it not only brings guests into the park, they're seeing success in people seeing how fun the park is and seeing how fun the work environment is. And it's helping solve some of those staffing issues. And they can attribute that to not, hey, last year we had this exact same issue. We didn't have this social media presence or content. And now we do. Now a lot of our staffing is kind of helped solve itself through that. But yeah, they're really, it's very difficult to kind of attract. All we can kind of look at is, like, hey, we're looking at comments. So, like, if a video goes viral, right, we'll read, it may have 300 comments on there. And out of those 300 comments, the people who are typically commenting are people within the area. And so we can kind of, like, attribute, if we did 100 million views throughout the summer, and then let's say out of those 100 million views, I'm just throwing random numbers, so let's say 1,000 comments, right? Then we can go in and we can assume, and you can actually read the comments and say, hey, these are people locally engaging because they said, hey, I came here in the past, or hey, I live X amount away, or they're engaging with it. Maybe it's current guests, past guests, or people who didn't even know it existed. We're measuring success through the actual comments, because we can actually attribute those to people who are in the drive-in markets and things like that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think everyone knows they have to do it, right? Like everyone knows they have to do social media. It's just part of the marketing landscape at this point. But it is difficult to kind of attribute that with it. I think as an industry, again, going further off topic, so we're getting further and further down. All right. But as an industry, I think sometimes on social media, we want to curate things. And the story that's coming to mind is, I'm sure that everyone has seen it. Probably everyone that's listening right now has seen this. The girl who's on the slingshot ride and the seagull lands directly on her, right? It hits her right in the face and goes for a ride with her up and down. So that happened at Maurice Pierce. And it's when I was there. So it's kind of one of those things where it was the guest video. We waited for them to post it. But in a traditional sense, like an attraction would not post that video, right? Because it really kind of goes against everything that they're striving for, even though it's this weird freak accident, right? So it doesn't portray it in the best light. And where I'm really going with this is authenticity. I was having this conversation last night at dinner with a photographer and a guy from an agency. And we were talking about the ability for the industry when they're taking photos of coasters to have everyone with their hands down, right? So everyone has their hands in because we're safety first, and that's the thing that we do. But that's not how people ride roller coasters, right? So there's a balance between authenticity and kind of sticking to your core values. And I think sometimes that's difficult to get in social media because someone can tell instantly if something's not authentic. So any words of advice to people, like, how do you balance that?
Yeah, I think in my head, it's managing a fine line between being authentic and legal and safety. I'm always in favor of being authentic 1,000%. And not only legal and safety, but also like upsetting guests, right? Because in my head, it's like, I want to 100% of the time go out of the box with ideas. If I see a hate comment, I want to, flip it around and actually make a video on it, and take things, and really be as authentic as possible and just be real. But obviously, in some cases, it could upset guests and portray a negative light. And then we're having issues where guests don't want to come to the park. Or it could be a safety thing, like you mentioned with, hey, everybody throws their hands up. So we're going to do this trend where we throw their hands up. And then maybe it is a legal safety thing. And so I'm always trying to scrape that fine line and making sure we're not crossing it, but taking advantage of it as most as possible. And so a good example of this, one of my clients is down in Mississippi, and one of their neighboring parks said, it's still the same management company, but they decided not to open the other park that summer. And so in the market, those are the two water parks in that market. And so this is the Gulf Islands water park down in Mississippi, and the other water park in the market is Blue Bayou. And so they're both managed by the same company. But one of the things we did is we noticed Blue Bayou is not going to open this year. So we're being authentic, and we made content that was like, hey, Blue Bayou is not open, but we're here all summer. And so what that did is that content went viral. It hit everybody who typically goes to Blue Bayou, and they said, wow, okay, I didn't know Blue Bayou wasn't going to open. I think that video had like 77,000 likes or somewhere around that. It went crazy on TikTok and Facebook and stuff. And so we reading the comments, there's people being like, oh, wow, I didn't realize you're also just a quick drive away. We're going to come. And we saw a lot of those guests converting over. And that's just a great example of being authentic. And then like kind of a horror story, a park in upstate New York that I work with, not necessarily a horror story, but this is kind of where I say I'm scraping that fine line, is they were open for so many years and allowed coolers into the park. You could bring one in, right? New ownership came and changed that rule because they said, hey, actually in 99% of the parks in the US, there's the free cooler thing is no longer thing. The neighboring parks also didn't have that rule. So they switched it. We're like, hey, if you have a season pass, you can bring a cooler. But if you're just a day ticket, that's not something we're going to allow. There was a lot of negative comments on social media through the park, just people complaining about that. So I said, hey, how do we use that to our advantage? And we actually made content, filming someone trying to bring a cooler in and stopping them and saying, hey, you need to get a season pass, or stopping them and saying, hey, check out all the wonderful food in the park. Now, in social media terms, that was awesome. We're getting a lot of views, great attention. But when you read some of those comments, especially on Facebook, we did see a lot of negative where, scraping that line actually was leaning towards hurting us, even though we were getting a lot new eyeballs on the park and actually educating the guests on these things. That's an example of where we had to take that content down. So it's kind of like aligning, in my head, we want to align guest expectations. So we eliminate those hate comments. So for example, if your wait times are super long in your park, right, and your guest is going there with the preconception that, your wait times are actually not that long, they get there, they have to wait in line, they're going to go comment a hate comment. But if we make jokes about the wait times, guests see that, they still come to the park because they see how fun the video is. They're expecting to wait in that line. And so we're kind of aligning those guest expectations. But again, we're managing that fine line of making sure we're not upsetting guests or doing things, but using those to our advantage.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I can imagine when you're dealing from the park, you're going to have different levels of like park ownership being like, oh, hold on, this, like there's a bad comment here. And you're going to go through that process. How do you handle personally? How do you handle the negativity? Because there's like, you're doing social media. You've got to have an enormous amount of negativity coming across your desk. I've listened to other interviews with different like influencers, and they talk about kind of the impact of that negativity. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, I've honestly never been affected by negativity. I'm not sure what it was. When I first started creating, there was a ton of it because it was more personality based versus what I do now. I use the analogy that I'm kind of like the weatherman, where like I'm just the credible figure, telling you the weather. I'm giving you.
Kind of look like a weatherman. You could really pull this off.
But you're never hating on the weatherman, right? You may comment on, like, for example, in my case, they're never hating on me. They may hate on the experience, like, oh, that looks super boring or whatnot. So for me, it never affected me personally. Now, beforehand, when it was more personality based, I did get a lot of hate directly targeted towards me. I was also, when I first started, was still in school, and peers around me.
Yeah.
And back then, it was not a normal thing or a desired thing to be on social media. They kind of like clowned on it. So, I experienced negativity in person, both on social media and stuff. But honestly, again, when I have that bigger purpose, and there's nothing you can like kind of tell me that will actually upset me. And in contrast, it'll actually motivate me to do more. And so in the attraction space, so when we're getting hate comments, like I said, in my head, it's like, how do we leverage those to our advantage? Kind of similarly, as long as we're not upsetting the guests even more and we're actually like flipping the narrative or kind of playing it off as a joke, that's where we're actually seeing more success and using it to our advantage, as opposed to like, hey, this is a bummer. Or in my client's perspective, it's a great way to like take this as like kind of guest feedback, and kind of getting a lot of guest feedback, like, hey, the soda machines at this location in the park are super disgusting, and the guest is posting a comment, and we're seeing that comment 100 times. That's flagged to management. They're like, okay, we need to go do something about this. Whereas before, without social media, they may not have
not even known.
Exactly. So we see a lot of that. And it also could be that there's certain things that people like, and it's not necessarily hate, but it's also they're commenting really good things about a specific thing that they like, or what it might be, an event or a policy in the park. Like, for example, when I mentioned the cooler scenario, there was a lot of negative comments, and the park can learn from those things and those experiences. Whereas before, if we weren't creating that content, or if the content wasn't as good and not reaching people, there would be no learnings to come from.
Yeah. So you've basically built a feedback loop in some sense that maybe didn't exist before, which is really helpful. And that feedback loop obviously allows them to make even more content because they can use that to drive the next thing they want to say. So I've been a nerd my entire life.
Really?
If you needed to
no
film,
one would have ever guessed.
Yeah, I never would have guessed.
No.
If you had to film in water, you found your camera and screw the camera lens over it. That's how you did it. And then everyone started using GoPros. As I understand it, GoPros aren't the choice anymore necessarily, but at the time they really were. You have like 360 cameras. So if you're a park and you're like, you know what, really appreciate working with influencers like you, also want to do some more content ourselves, what's the kit that you're saying you should go and get?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like to your point of tech kind of emerging now, a lot of things are waterproof. So down to the phone is water resistant. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, we're working with drones, we're working with the 360 cameras, we're working with the iPhones. We have nice microphones that we use. Outside of that, I mean, that's really is the magic really comes from the phone, and the microphones is really where we're filming majority of our stuff. And then, the drone and the 360 cameras just allow us to have B-roll or various ride shots. But yeah, really you can cook with just a phone and some microphones.
Do Apple and DJI sponsor you? Because I feel like that was like exactly what Apple wanted to hear. Our phone was so good.
He neither confirm nor deny that he gets.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, that's my unbiased opinion. I do work with some of the action camera companies every now and then, but really just using the microphone and the phone is just authentically what's being used.
It's amazing how that technology has advanced. Listen, I come from a time before cell phones. I had one of the original Motorola blocks kind of idea. And back then I remember going, it'd be really cool. They could put a camera in this device. This would be really cool. And so now it's really, I say I'm living in the future. But there you go. Showing my age.
So your background is heavily in water parks, and the strategies apply across industries, right? Within the verticals that we serve as a company, there's zoos and museums, passenger vessels, ferries, railway, observation towers, water parks, kind of that whole thing. I think it's really easy for a water park or a theme park to be like, oh yeah, we're going to use social media for XYZ. But what are the kind of those universal things that can cross all the different attraction-based industries?
Yeah, I think the number one universal thing is that regardless of what attraction you are, you already have fans, you already have your followers, you already have guests. And so a lot of the times what I'm doing is I'm working with a property that has been around for, I don't know, many, many years, and they've had hundreds of thousands of guests come every year. When we start creating content, that's our audience that can engage with our content. So we're never starting from fresh. Even when there's a brand new attraction, right? Usually there's some press or stuff that goes around it before it even comes out, or people are saying, no, this is new in XYZ city. Those people who are exposed to it, every attraction already has some sort of audience, whether you're a water park, zoo, doesn't matter what attraction you are, there's already some sort of audience. So it's kind of universal to where if you just create something, there's already going to be an audience to engage with it. So now if you create something good, and you already have that audience to engage with it, that's where you see the engagement explode. So a lot of the times, even with attractions now who don't have some high level consultant or anything, or they are just creating, what you'll notice is like, sure, maybe not all of their content is at that high level, but they may have a few videos that do reach these massive numbers. And that's simply because they filmed a trend really well, or they did this specific trend very, very well. And that audience kind of engaged with it. And those two things kind of made it explode. So that's something that's very consistent between, regardless of what attraction, is that there's already an audience to engage with content.
If I take that a little bit further and I say, okay, so you work in a market that's very kind of thrill based, right? Like it's like, check out this water slide. It's the scariest water slide you'll ever be on. I ride it 10 times to get this video. But like, there's also a lot more subdued attractions. There's attractions that are like, here's a flower garden you can come walk through. It's like, unless it's going to turn into Plants versus Zombies, you're probably not going to have a really thrill-based environment. Is what you're saying here is that the same rules apply. You're going to have an audience to that already, and you need to speak to that audience in a way that engages them, and you have to determine what that's going to be. Is that...
1,000%. And even in the less exciting or less thrilling attractions, like, what we're always working on is I call it like employee generated content. And that's where we're working with the staff to be on camera personalities and kind of bring things to life. So, it's not necessarily like only just showcasing attractions. We're doing a lot of fun stuff and building that environment to kind of represent the brand through the employees. And so that doesn't necessarily have to come from the attractions. It can come from just, it doesn't have to come from something thrilling, essentially.
Yeah. Well, and we live in an increasingly we're hearing more and more about AI and other things and those kinds of tools and what it can do. And yet it's missing that human connection, right? Like it's literally not the human connection. And what you're saying is largely that you're instigating an opportunity to relate to the people that are at these facilities through the videos that you give or that you create. And that gives people an opportunity to go, hey, I want to experience that. That's the thing I want. Total tangent. But what do you think about the developing world of AI out there and what's happening in the market?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily scared of AI at all. I want to use it to my advantage as much as possible. Yeah. I don't see a world where AI is going to be like, hey, an attraction wants to make content or an influencer wants to make content, and the AI will just do it in 2 seconds. And I also see the platforms moving away from AI. Like I think YouTube just announced that they're not going to promote any content that's fully AI. So where AI comes into my place is in like copywriting or in scripting or the pre-production and post-production and kind of how to bring those things to life a little bit easier. That's where, we're using tools like ChatGPT and things like that to kind of help us in the planning stages or the content ideation, things like that. Yeah. But when it comes to actually like creating the content, I think it's always going to be a success to physically get in there and be creating every day.
Well, I mean, there's constant noise in this area. So Will Smith, I don't know, are you young enough or old enough to know who Will Smith is? Yeah. So Will Smith just released his video of his new album tour. And it very quickly became apparent that the entire audience was AI. And now he's dealing with all the fallout of that. So it's just interesting to watch how the market shifts. I would agree with you. I think AI is an incredible tool for things like copywriting and those kinds of things. But for the actual content creation, I don't see you're going to run into any problems anytime soon from that perspective.
It's just iterating though. Like it's all iterations with AI. Like it can't create. And I think that's the important thing with social is you're creating. So it can copy someone else's idea or do something, but you could quickly miss that authenticity. say the Human Rights Museum in Winnipeg, which is an awesome museum. If you're ever there, you need to go. Right. Say they were to ask about, how to create a social media campaign. There's a very good chance that what it's going to come back with is not relevant to that particular subject matter.
Sure.
Right. At all. I think the AI is incredible for helping with that pre-production, but it lacks the humanity right now, at least right now. Maybe
Yeah, I kind of hope we don't, but yeah, possibility. I think the human connection thing, where AI thrives, I think, is the ability to create the content that enables human connection between humans, right? And when you skip that step and go straight to AI to human connections, we run into some really weird stories and things that we probably don't want from a cultural perspective. So cool. A little bit of an aside, but that I'm just always curious. I have kids that aren't a lot younger than you. One of them is 23. And that generation tends to really dislike AI and wants to be authentic, and AI couldn't be less authentic. So it's just interesting. I was just curious about your feedback there. Kind of getting back on script, how do attractions build like sustainable content strategies versus becoming dependent on yourself? Now, obviously, you're building a business. You'd like them to be dependent on you. And from that perspective, but there's going to be a point where you're not scalable enough to service maybe everyone out there that way.
That's where AI comes into play.
No, that's where he hires people and teaches them how to do what he does. Yeah. So what's the path to developing internal capabilities that can be augmented by people like yourself?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is honestly it's what my whole consulting is based off, is building an in-house system for daily content creation.
Yeah.
And the simplest answer to that is like for any attraction to just start out by hiring that role. If it is a social media intern, a social media coordinator, whatever it might be, and just get creating as much as possible, even if it isn't daily. It's like they need to be posting, because as we discussed before, like everybody is on their phone, no matter who it is, everybody's swiping. And so it's like, how do we reach people? How do we get in front of the people who are swiping? And that's by creating content. So what essentially, like where I come in is, I have 8 to 9 years of experience of just creating, and really doing short form video first and leveraging it to the max. It's kind of like making sure that every piece of content that is shared is being optimized to be the best piece of content possible, so that we are reaching and getting the numbers that we want, which in some clients' cases, last summer we had a park do 130 million plus impressions across the summer. So it works out really well. Now, the only difference is like if a park were to just go hire a social media coordinator, again, it's just that every piece of content, again, is not going to be done off of that kind of personal preference that I was telling you about. It may go down that route as opposed to being all done like in best practices for the algorithms.
So I'm kind of reading between the lines, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but what you're saying is you have 7 to 8 years of experience or more of trying things and determining over time what works, which means you've probably thrown a lot of things at the wall to figure out what sticks.
Yes.
And you've learned that process. Now it's kind of instinctual. So what your initial statement, I think, is to say, go start creating content, go start throwing things at the wall. Most of it's probably not going to stick, but then you'll have one that does stick. And then you can start to build those. So is what you do then from a consultancy standpoint is to try and help some of those people fast track into, here's the 10 things that I've learned that work, at least in broad scopes. And here's how you can start to define those for yourself. So you can be authentically you, not just a copy of me from that perspective. Is that kind of what you're doing?
Yeah, I think the analogy of throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks is 1,000% hitting the nail of like, yes, when you're doing things off personal preference, that's what you're doing. You're throwing stuff at the wall and maybe things won't stick. So now, what I'm doing is like, okay, I've already gone through the trial and error. I've done, I think 2 billion views every single year for the last like 5-6 years across social media. And so it's like, now we're not doing that. It's all, there's no personal preference. It's all just like, these are the best practices across the board that work best. And then, this is the current trends or the current, content styles that are doing very well. And then how are we able to take the attraction at hand and leverage it into the trend or the content style, but, make it better. And so, yes, over the summer, what ends up happening is the coordinators at these parks, they start to learn more and more. And the teams, they learn like, okay, this is what we have to do. Here's how we need to film things. And here's kind of that alleyway. Now, yes, I am involved with some of these properties over a multi-year term because, they want that consistency and they want to uphold that kind of like level of content. And I guess it's a lot more difficult to kind of like, hey, hand off the rings and, go do it yourself. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way. And they want to keep that high level of content because a lot of the times what ends up happening is that they're only open for a certain amount of time. So there are attractions that are open year round, but a lot of the ones that I work with they only have like 90 days or 100 days of operation. And so they really need to maximize that time. And they don't have the time to be throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. They want to make sure that every day is optimized and leveraged to its full potential.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like you're kind of heading towards, I mean, the one-off sponsored content is what where you've, kind of had a lot of your success to date. But moving into strategic consulting, it's almost like you're heading towards, what I can see you heading towards is actually a program of almost like guided mentoring or a mentoring program of, I'm going to teach you, this is the way that you do these things. Here's the program that you use to do that. And you're essentially building, like I'm thinking about, there's programs like this inside of sales that are like Predictable Revenue is one of these kind of groups that does this, where you're building a training program and you're building a way of thinking for people. Is that at all accurate? Is that kind of where you're headed in the long term?
Yeah, I think it's obviously showing you the ropes, but it's also what I do is I hold your hand and walk you through the finish line.
Exactly.
So, because in the past, I've spoken at all the conferences. I've spoken at both industry conferences with IAPA and WWA, and I give a lot of free value. Like I've never tried to hide. I could sit here and tell you everything, just like I said. Hey, everybody needs to be posting, everybody needs to be creating. But where I saw and why my consulting business actually came to life is because people are like, this is amazing. We love this. We love this information you're telling us, but we need accountability aspect integrated to it. And not only that, again, like I mentioned before, we only have X amount of days of operation. We don't want to be just floating around and sending someone to just go mindlessly make content. Like we need this plan, we need a strategy, and we need to be milking the most amount of views we can in this short amount of period of time. And so it's kind of like a mixture of the time sensitiveness and the accountability is where I really come in and help them strive, because I can give all the knowledge in the world.
Sure. It doesn't matter if they don't use it.
Yeah. And so that's where I was seeing and why there was a lot of interest in what I was doing is because, I gave all this free value, but then the accountability aspect and the time sensitiveness is like, wow, we really want to take advantage of this to the max.
How do the economics vary on that? Like the economics of one-off sponsored content makes sense. You're negotiating a price for that. The other stuff is much more of a long-term, and you're holding people's hands and you're walking them through these things and you're kind of guiding them and mentoring them in some sense. How do the economics work differently on that? Because like clearly one of them has a much longer term value to you, which is that mentoring side, of course, is going to be the long-term value. And at some point, I mean, I can only imagine you're going to make content until you're my age, I'm sure, because I think it's in your blood. But also that mentoring side is going to be where you're probably going to get the biggest value. So how does the economics work differently in your head for those?
Yeah, I think obviously like my one-off sponsored posts, and even when I'm also straying away from that and trying to build more meaningful partnerships on my content on my personal brand side. So for example, I used to do one-off partnerships with the cruise line with Royal Caribbean. Now I work with them as a global creator ambassador, multi-year contracts. Like I'm helping other opportunities like, designing that water park.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for more meaningful partnerships, or even I work with tourism boards, right? In the past, they have been just those one-offs, but now it's like, hey, I'm working with them on a multi-year basis where I'll work with them this summer and the next summer. And when it comes to the consulting side of things, it's also kind of similar, I would say. Yes, it's a longer term where it's less of like a one-off visit or there's obviously less travel involved, I would say. But I'm usually working on a 3-month term with a lot of these properties or attractions. And kind of like going on site once, doing kind of the operational setups. I'm teaching obviously in person training, and then everything else I'm doing is remotely. So I'm still working every day. It's just less like on site than
and less travel, which is great. I mean, travel is great until it isn't. I've done enough in my life. Yeah, no, I understand it, and we're going to touch on this yet. You kind of have the best of both worlds here because you're going to go on site, you're going to spend time at water parks, and I know your aspirations are to have your own water park someday. So it's like you're training them in something, and then also kind of ancillary training yourself in how these operations work and what works and what doesn't work, and don't put the drink machine there, and like those kinds of things that you wouldn't get any other way. So you're kind of getting 2 advantages there. Tim, you have a Royal Caribbean question, which actually ties really well off of what he just said. So jump in on that one.
I feel like you might have answered it already, but I'll ask it anyways.
Yeah.
So you were talking a little bit about, relationship building, and Royal Caribbean CEO publicly credited you with helping to shape the Perfect Day Mexico Waterpark vision, which is just super cool.
It's huge. Yeah.
Right. So like from creator to, we'll call you a social architect. That's my title. For attraction design. So how did that even happen? Like, I know you said you've worked with them, but how do you build that level of trust at an enterprise level?
Yeah, so obviously it goes down to the core of my content, being family friendly, being brand friendly, being, I guess follower first, where it's all value driven. It's not necessarily about Alex Ojeda and like he's never flexing like, hey, look at me, I'm on this cruise ship and you're not. It's really all value driven and story driven.
But
And
you are on a cruise ship right now, right?
I was yesterday, but I'm back home now.
Yeah.
But it is kind of a value first thing. And so when a brand sees something like that, I feel like it differentiates me from majority of the influencers who are more personality based. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it provides a lot more value to the brand. And so, if funny enough, the story with Royal Caribbean, I was actually just an organic fan of the brand. I've been cruising all my life with my family, and I just happened to be. It was actually my grandma's 75th birthday. I was on a cruise ship out of Alaska, and I saw someone with a production badge. Also, ironically, a week before that, an agency had reached out to me about a cruise partnership opportunity with Royal Caribbean via email. And unfortunately, it didn't end up working out there, but I met them on site while just being an organic cruiser. And they recognized me and they're like, oh my God, we've seen your videos. Because I just asked out of curiosity, like, hey, do you do social media? And they invited me to dinner. That one dinner then turned into, hey, we would like to invite you. I think it was Odyssey of the Seas was launching. And so I went out there, and it was just a trade partnership at the start. They were like, hey, we just want to invite you, build a relationship with you. There's no expectation for deliverables, but we just want you to come enjoy, and we love your content. And so I went out there and I shared a ton of videos. I tagged them in it. I shared like how much I love the brand, and I also created content, even though there was no expectation for it. So I went above and beyond, and they were super happy. That content performed really, really well, and then that then turned into my first one-off sponsorship with them for Wonder of the Seas, that at that time was the world's largest cruise ship. And then it just so happened that other cruise lines saw the content; they were very interested in working with me. And while I love the industry as a whole, in my heart, it was really with Royal Caribbean. And so I just through conversations with them, they were just like, "Hey, we appreciate you for letting us know. We'd love to continue our relationship." And so we then I ended up doing another one-off with them, and then on that one-off, we discussed doing a year partnership, which I don't think they had done with other creators. And so myself and one other creator got on this year contract, and we did a really great job. And then they renewed us for year two. And then it just so happened that in between those two, the product team had been following all this content that I was sharing with the brand, and took note of me. And they loved that I, kind of had that global light. And also, kind of like what you were saying, is that I've kind of learned from the feedback of my audience what they like and what they don't. I heard that Michael Bailey, the CEO, was in a meeting, and that they had proposed to him some slide designs, and that he was like, "Would Alex ride these?" And they were like, "Well, let's ask him." And so that's when I got brought into the project. I went out for a day to the Miami office, and I just sat down with all the vendors and the product team, and we just went through slide by slide, dissecting, what makes sense to build, what doesn't, how do we think of like a social first kind of mindset, and also like a modern and younger, everything at Royal Caribbean is still family first, but there's this big trend in young adults and what's trendy, and everybody's kind of moving towards that. And so, um, it honestly just spawned off of that. And now the partnership is kind of evolving into more, less of like just, typical influencer collaboration to, a meaningful, longer term partnership.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's a takeaway there that I think so many people, whether you're an influencer or not, should take. And that is that you're a founder. And the thing that you did there, which is like, every time I see someone who has that kind of drive, I try and find a way to hire them, or at least work with them, because that point where you went, we have no arrangement, and I'm going to do a bunch of work, and I'm going to do something for this company or for this thing because I think it's an investment. And also I really like the brand, but I'm going to do something. And then that in turn pays enormous dividends. But there was no guarantee that that was going to happen.
Right.
And that you, like you said, went above and beyond. But that's the investment part. And you're investing in yourself. You're investing in the potentiality of where this could all go. And I think that's super inspiring. And I think that's the piece that I pull out of that and go, that's what makes you so special, is your willingness to go and put it online and go get it done and work hard and take the bet on yourself that it's going to pay off. And I think if more people did that, we'd have more really cool things out there. And so I think that congratulations, you've done an incredible job, and it's really cool watching your, how you've grown this thing. I mean, look, 2 point whatever billion views. That's insane for the last few years. So
thank you. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that.
Anyways, I'm sounding like my 50-year-old mentor self. Okay, so
it's all right.
Yeah, that's who I am. So you want to open your own water park now? Have you picked a name?
I have, yes.
And are you allowed to say anything yet? You don't have to.
I haven't announced the name publicly ever, but
is this the exclusive announcement?
I mean, it's not a secret by any means, but it is Ojeda Oasis. Ojeda Oasis Water Park is the name of the water park. Yes, and I'm not going to share too much more details outside of that until we're like official, just because I'm one of those that like really wants to be serious and get things rolling before I like make the full announcement. But that is the dream and the goal here, and something that I'm working for in the next couple of years.
That's amazing. I wish you all the best on that. That's truly a spectacular goal. And when I think about where your family came from and what your dad did and the effort he put in, and now he has a son pushing as hard or harder, going after those things. And the culmination of that is the first of what I likely expect to be many water parks, because I can't imagine you stopping at one. There'll be an empire yet before you're done. That's huge. And congratulations.
I appreciate it.
Big deal.
And probably a cruise ship. Right.
There's going to be a Royal Caribbean one named after him.
It's just one water park. There's no rooms. Just water park. Yeah. So your evolution has been pretty cool overall. I've known you for a number of years, from creator to conference speaker to consultant, strategic consultant. It's really cool, and if I can use the term like thought leader, like that's in my head, like that's where you are. Right. And I think that most people would say that. So, and you're not just an influencer anymore. Like you are in a lot of ways, but as Jack Moore used to say, you're more than you've become. Right. Like in general, like there's lots of potential to do more. And I think with your water park and everything that you want to get out of life and grow this, it's really cool. How important was the credibility shift on this journey? Influencer, content creator, speaker.
I think it was the most important thing, because I think when I first started, like I said, I was mindlessly creating. There was no end goal, or there was no big end all be all. It was kind of just like, hey, this is fun. Let's see where this takes me. I enjoyed creating this. And there was no like purpose or vision behind it. Right. And so I think all of this credibility building just allows me to reach those bigger goals and continue my purpose and my why. Whereas, if not, I would just be just an influencer and, continue to reach a small group of people and not be able to expand much outside of that. And so I think the credibility opens the doors to bigger opportunities, to bigger credibility building things. If you take the consulting with Royal Caribbean, for example, that's an example of that, where the credibility, allowed me to expand into, doing consulting for a new water park. Like that is not something that, that is my dream and what I love doing, but it's not something that would have come if I had just, stayed as just an influencer or kind of like didn't go outside of that and kind of build my industry expertise.
Totally. I mean, the story is a great story, and you're a young guy, so you have a lot of story left to write. So that's really cool. Okay, so we have this thing called lightning round, where we just ask questions and you answer them as we always say as quickly as possible. But the reality is neither Tim nor I are able to answer questions quickly. So do as best you can.
The first time we tried this, the guest asked us questions, and it took me like 5 minutes to answer one.
It's true.
Not a lightning round.
So don't,
It did
the
not
lesson
work.
here is don't ask Tim questions. That's the lesson that we're taking. Okay, Tim, kick it off.
Biggest mistake attractions make with social media.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think of these questions now.
Come on, chop.
Biggest mistake is just not. I see a lot of photo first content still, where people are just posting They have photos on schedule, and they just post that all season. There's no video first, and like we said before, everybody's swiping, and when you're swiping, you don't see photos, you see video. So to me, that's the biggest mistake.
Okay, let's try this again, John. These are lightning questions.
Yeah.
John, go ahead.
TikTok, Instagram. Wait, Instagram, is it Insta now? Anyways, TikTok, Insta, or YouTube. Pick one.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to say YouTube.
YouTube? Okay.
Scariest water slide you ever filmed?
Scariest water slide I ever filmed. I don't know if there's one that specifically that comes to mind, but in my head, that may not be the scariest. But I went in Mexico. There's these slides called slip and flies, and it's kind of like a Nike check mark where you start on you're laying face first and you just fly into a pool. I think the very first time I after doing it a bunch, I'm not scared of it anymore. But I think the very first time I did it, I was like, how is this real? Like, this is incredible. It was very scary, and it's very thrilling because you're just launching crazy into the air and then you're just smacking into the water. It's so much fun. But I would say that first initial slide on that was very scary. So I think that's probably the scariest, or at least one of the.
That reminds me of this video I saw years ago of this lady going off one of those slides, and then she somehow managed to stay perfectly straight and hit the water, and the entire water park turned around because that thing went viral big time. All right, vertical or horizontal video?
It's tough. I think vertical.
What's your grandma's current Fortnite skill level?
Well, if she was still with us, I don't even know.
Expert. She's
infinite.
Expert. God mode.
God. Oh, you're gonna have to fix that in post. Oh no. God mode. Wow. And lightning round is over. Yeah, that's
good.
Oh no, that's the tagline right now for this entire thing. What's your okay. Most overrated social media trend.
Ooh, most overrated social media trend. Honestly, I don't have one that comes to the top of mind.
Cruise ships or theme parks?
If we're talking like theme park, like not water park, I'm gonna have to go with cruise ships.
Drone footage, essential or overused?
Ooh, I view it as essential.
Best time to post. This is a terrible question. Who came up with this?
No, this is great because my answer to that, I get that asked a lot. It doesn't matter. My answer is it doesn't matter, but as long as people are awake. So whatever your time zone is, if people are, so if you don't go to bed till 10 p.m., people are still awake till 10 p.m. So, or vice versa. I prefer to post in the morning because that's when everyone's awake, right? But that's my 2 cents on that.
Influencer or creator?
Creator.
Worst content collaboration you've ever seen?
I've ever seen. Ooh. Content
that Pizza Hut clone was bad.
I also don't know if I have one in mind. I have some good ones that I can think of. There's this little kid named the Rizzler. If you look him up later, he's super viral. He's just a funny little kid. He does like this funny face, and he went viral for that. And now I see like Hardee's, Carl's Jr. and them. They're working with him as like the face, or Arizona Iced Tea has him coming in as the face.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any bad ones though. I think that's what comes to mind as like a good one that I've enjoyed recently.
I love the positivity because every question we ask you, it's a negative based question. You turn around and ask. So I'm going to ask you one more. One social media platform you'd eliminate forever.
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, I don't have one that I would eliminate, but I feel like I don't use Twitter enough to like in my day to day. So if I had to like pick one, it would probably be Twitter.
Most underrated attraction type for content.
Underrated attract. Oh, I mean, I think it's like just going back to your core, your attractions. So literally just throwing up ride POVs. I feel like it's not done enough. It's so underrated. Like, if you go to any attraction, you won't see that most of the time. And so I'm like, why are people just going back to your core? Why people are coming back to your attraction? Like, I feel like
Right.
it's like the most underrated, simple thing to just like Im immediately get good content.
Analytics or gut feeling?
Analytics.
That's interesting.
Waterpark.
Hold on. I got to step in on this. That's interesting because you're a creator, which is very, very right brain. And then you're also very left brain.
I mean, I just like to always go off of data and
Yeah,
how can I
totally.
I always look at the analytics and see what could I have done better the next time.
Water parks in the off season? Yes or no?
You mean you're talking like outdoor, indoor?
Well, yeah, there's no off season in indoor, but yeah, outdoor water
Yeah,
parks.
like I would love to see it. I mean, I don't know if the other people would be as crazy as I am to go out in freezing cold to ride some slides, but
So like
I'm,
polar
I'm
bear water parks, like Canadian style water parks. I'm Canadian, so
That would be kind of cool. I think it's about content. Would you post content at your water park in the off season?
Oh, okay. Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about like feasibility, it's a little more difficult for some people, but 100% at my specific water park, yes, it'll be year-round content coming out, even if there is no other offerings like hotel, campground, things like that. It would still be,
Yeah.
if it's just seasonal, it would still be content year-round. Got to sell those season passes in the off season.
Yeah, totally. Biggest content creation investment attractions should make.
I heard this really great consultant. His name's Alex Ojeda. Um,
Love it.
I would say
Love
that that's the big. I mean,
it.
in general, it should just be, you know, uh, investing into social first thinking, and so that
Yeah.
starts with, like I said before, like just as simple as getting an intern or a social media coordinator to start working out at the park.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love your take too, because I had a mentor once say to me, "If you're not willing to bet on yourself, why should anyone else?"
What's your content creation kryptonite?
But what can you elaborate on what kryptonite means?
What's the thing that you hate to do?
Oh, the thing that I hate to do. Okay. Ooh, that's tough. I mean, I enjoy pretty much every aspect of it. I would say like my more favorite things are obviously being in the ground creating. The things that I am less excited about is kind of the, I guess, pre-planning and like figuring out
Yeah.
actually where to go, coordinating the logistics of travel and things like that. That's kind of the more things where I'm like, after a while, I'm like, I don't want to be doing this. I want to go create or I want to go plan out content as opposed to like, hey, I need to fly to this destination to get XYZ or whatever it might be, right? So I think
Yep.
that's a better I guess that's the thing I like the least, I guess would be the best way to phrase that.
Mm-hmm. It's also nice. That's the thing you can hire for if you need to.
For sure.
Yeah. Next big social platform.
Ooh, next big social platform. I don't know if there's like one specific platform, but what I do see is that, there was a time where longer format content was king and everybody was flocking towards
Yeah.
that. And then
Yeah.
short form kind of took over. And while I still think short form is still going to be at the top, I think long form is making its comeback. So if we're talking like, YouTube Shorts took over, I feel like, YouTube long form is slowly gonna start,
Come back.
apparently there was some statistic that TV is a huge, and even in my content specifically, people are watching my YouTube long form on TV. It's like the biggest percentage sometimes. So I think when you talk about like the next big thing, I think it's going to be that TV is coming back as well, and people are watching longer format content on television.
It's good. Attention spans are starting to increase again. That's good.
Yeah.
Best reaction you've ever gotten from a video?
Best reaction. I mean, my biggest, like what I love the most is creating like some magical video for a brand that I'm really passionate about, and then them going just crazy about it. With Royal Caribbean, one of my favorite videos I ever made was there was this trend going around where people would go into a restaurant and the waiter would be like, "Enjoy your food," and then the person would say back, "Thanks, you too," and the waiter would look back, be like, "Me too," and then it'd cut to them having shots of pizza or whatever the food was in together. And then they would say, "Have a great day." The person would say, "You too." And the waiter would be like, "Me too." And then they would, then show the guest doing the dishes and waiting the tables and stuff. And so I took this trend to the water park on Royal Caribbean's island. And I did it. It was like, have a great day at the water park. Thanks, you too. And then we montage shots of us having fun. And then it was like, have a great day to the staff. And then, I went back and I started like sending people down slides, lifeguarding and doing that. And that video, it just came out so well. When I showed it to the director of social media at the time at Royal, she started tearing up of how like crying of how good it was and how like good it made her feel. And so for me, that is probably one of the best reactions I've had
awesome.
from a video. And I personally love to see, because it's like that satisfaction of like two awesome brands coming together and building something, creating something magical. Like that's the best reactions for sure.
Right. The last question: content creation in 5 years. What changes?
Ooh, content creation in 5 years. What changes? Honestly, I think what changes is content is just going to continue to get better and better, because there's going to be so much content and so many people are starting to create more and more every day, and there's more and more platforms, and it's more and more easier to create, that when you have so much content coming out, the only content that's going to succeed is the good stuff. So I think what's going to happen is it's like that phrase they say, like, the great thing about America is competition. It's going to apply to content creation, where content's just going to get better and better and better over the next 5 years, to the point where to succeed, you really have to be good at it.
Yeah, it's because everyone's going to learn your system. That's why it's going to get better and better. Yeah, that's good. Alex, it's been great having you with us today.
Thanks a lot for joining us. Any last words?
No, just thank you guys for having me. I appreciate the time, and it's great conversations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
You're listening to Signal.